I believe they care. I believe that they care about the individual.
They had a concept, but God had bigger things in mind than he ever envisioned.
The thing that impresses me about them is they're willing to share with you the mistakes that they made along the way.
When I ran camp in the summer of 71 for the church, the property went into escrow in early October of 72. We walked on the property as owners January 1 of 73.
My dad was the executive director of the camp, and so over the course of the life of the camp, that's been many, many different things.
It takes a man of vision, that he's in the will of God, confidence in God's able to do what he can't even conceive of.
But that meant, since he was the only guy that did that job for the first 7 years they were on property, that meant he got to learn everything.
Yeah, Walt and I go a long way back together, obviously.
I'd like you to meet the big boss man of this place, Walt Brock. Walt, God bless you. God's used you in a great way here, and it's my pleasure to know you as a friend, as a graduate of Bob Jones University, and as an outstanding man of faith.
People thought he was crazy when he went out to the desert, but he took nothing. And he heard of some barracks that were being torn down over at a nearby military base. He bid on them, got them himself personally, went over with a hammer and a crowbar and tore those things down board by board, pulled the nails out, took them back to the camp, had some people that came to help him. They reassembled them. That was their first buildings.
20 years after we started, Chuck and I had a discussion that I think this thing's going to work. I remember announcing for the very first time we had enough groups contracted to come here that I could foresee that we had 5 months of guaranteed income. Every day a miracle.
It wasn't something that I could say, oh, I was all excited about, because it was new for me. I'd never been to camp, although I did take a camp work class in college.
My mom is kind of the backbone of so many things. She was the support, the complement to Dad. So they both brought different abilities to the table, but those abilities together were just really, really strong. So Dad without Mom would be a mess. Mom without Dad, when God puts those two together with the complementing strengths that they have, really cool.
The opportunity that our students have to work in camps goes right along with what we're trying to teach them during the year. And if they lose that injection of seeing the Lord work and depending on the Lord for strength and realizing His grace, then we are significantly set back in preparing our students for a life of ministry. But that happens because of people like Walt and Betty, because they see their testimony over time and they realize that they are just as determined to serve the Lord in camp ministry now as they were when they first began.
Walt and Betty make their alma mater proud. They learn from their own faculty who were sacrificing their lives. And having seen that sacrifice, and they wanted to go replicate everything that was useful. When students do that, it's amazing the difference it can make in their life. Walt and Betty knew their limitations, and they borrowed the brains and the expertise of people that they didn't have, which combined to make Ironwood what it is today.
What we're doing here has value not just in our lifetime, but beyond our lifetime. And it may have value upon this earth, but as we work today, are doing in time that which is going to last forever. Thinking eternally is very important. Betty's verse would be God's sufficiency. Mine would be that whosoever doeth the will of God abideth forever, from 1 John 2:17.
It's like what Mom and Dad care about is the people that God puts in their way. Whoever God puts in their way, those are the people that they're going to invest in. I believe that Mom and Dad are not about the crowd. They're not about huge numbers. They're not about big ministry. I believe they care. I believe that they care about the individual. When they invest in those people, you have no idea where that's going to go. So after 50 years, you start to see the ripple effect of a person who works with youth, and then those youth continue on for the rest of their lives, taking the things that they learned in a formative time, at a time when they were just figuring out how life worked, and you're seeing the ripple effect. So the impact, I don't think we have any idea.